Moving right along.
Yeah.
So, Kenya,
Yes.
you and I had the pleasure of attending last week's school board meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, we did. I've
So,
been to several
this was
over
my first. Sorry.
several. I'm not new to that place.
So, do you want to give your thoughts first, or do you want me to give my thoughts as a newcomer?
um. Well, let's talk about what the school board is first of all for everybody. It is a board of people who um, sit at a table and makes decisions on things that should be taught in school, and they put in policies that people are supposed, like, that the students and the faculty are supposed to adhere by, and they make a lot of decisions on a lot of things that could potentially, I ain't gonna say potentially, I'm gonna take that out. That's detrimental to your child's well-being and your child's future. That's how much that's how much weight they hold. And I don't think that a lot of people know how much power and how much weight that these school board members hold for something that's so important, so detrimental, and they do not get paid for it, but they work for us. We vote them in.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that people really know how important it is to know about what's going on there, to attend those things, those meetings, and to ask questions, and to get answers to the questions that you are asking. So, with that being said, Jessica, you could tell them how your first experience as going to a school board meeting.
Okay. So this was my first time at a live school board meeting. I have watched school board meetings because the meetings are available on YouTube. And I could say my first experience um, physically at a school board meeting, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, it was a mess.
Oh yeah.
It was a mess. Um, when I got there maybe a couple minutes after 8. So it was the superintendent was just now speaking. He was reading off a letter from his lawyer because um, there is a conflict between some of the members of the school board and the superintendent as to how he was reinstated for a new term. And can you please jump in and correct me if I'm saying anything inaccurately?
Which we spoke
Um,
Hmm.
on this last year, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, we
yes,
did. Yeah, we
last
did.
year, the current superintendent had maybe about a year and a half left on his current contract. And prior to the November election, what they ended up doing was he resigned and then they rehired him within the same meeting in order for him to get a whole new contract. Um, and I believe it's at a different pay rate as well. Am I wrong in saying that?
I think that he got more money.
Um, with the superintendent reading, so what ended up happening now that we have a new school board in, we had um four vacancies that were filled.
Yes.
Those vacancies were filled, and they hired outside counsel in order to look into, was this process done properly.
Yes, because there was a whole bunch of backlash from that, because there was a secret meeting held. Everybody didn't have the information. School board members got up and walked out. Like, it was just a whole bunch of stuff that was going on around that whole process. Um, so that's why they hired the outside counsel to look into it to see if it was lawfully done correctly.
So he
And
brought,
that was in July of last year. That was in July of last year, and it's February now.
and so he, what did he do? He brought in a letter wrote by his lawyer.
Yeah, saying that the practice that they did for the process that they did to have him resign and hire him within minutes back to a new contract, a new deal. Um, and his old contract wasn't even up without um, ever posting the job, giving the community an opportunity to speak about it. Was there any reviews done on it? Like things
Hmm.
that supposed to happen whenever someone resigns from a position like that. Those
There
things did
wasn't
not
a
happen.
Rooney rule. There wasn't a Rooney rule put in place.
Nah.
No, the Rooney Rule was not in effect there, and so there's some board members who spoke up about it, especially new board members coming on who spoke up about it, saying that the process wasn't right. Like you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? It doesn't sound right. So as a citizen, or as a taxpayer, or as a parent, um, and you hear something like that that's going on at your local school board, you want to look into that. I feel like it should pique your interest of saying dang, that don't say like he resigned and got hired
Hmm.
like all within like minutes. Like how does that work? Why was
Now,
that allowed to happen?
Right.
Um,
now, was there an
they
independent lawyer consulted about this, or was it just his lawyer that
So
anybody knew?
the school board hired independent counsel to look over the process and the procedures of what took place at that time with
Uh,
him being with him resigning and hiring getting hired back. So the argument is from the superintendent's father is that it's a vendetta, and that it's been done like that for years. And the same school board member, they voted on it before, so they, what's wrong with it now? Um, and that what else? So like basically nothing was done incorrectly. And why are we paying an outside counsel, wasting taxpayers' dollars because nothing was done incorrectly? Because this has always been done like this, and they've done it before in 6 or 7 other school district do it that way. So
Now, I can
uh,
say, as a taxpayer and someone who votes in every election, I don't have
mm-hmm,
anything to do with the political vendetta, but it does not
mm-mm,
sound right to me. And I would like some answers. And I would like to know, is this legit?
but even if
If
mm-hmm,
it is legit, now it's time to get the rules changed to make it
either
fair.
either way, because what it is it's a way to circumvent the process to say, hey, there are new board members coming up. The board decides who the superintendent is. So if I think these new board members are not going to vote me in and give me another contract, then I can circumvent this process and not have them have a say at all and just get my
mm-hmm,
contract renewed. It doesn't
mm-hmm,
sound right.
mm-hmm.
So, yes, I, as a citizen, would like that looked into. Just because this is something that has been done before does not make it right.
It does
Like,
not. It does not.
and let me just say this, like, I feel like, okay, the superintendent's father was there. He's up there going hard for his son. He feels like we're wasting taxpayer dollars and he has a right to speak. He's been at all the past few members to speak out, the past few meetings to speak out this about this issue because he's a taxpayer. And in this particular meeting, he said he's a taxpayer and that's my son. To which
Mm-hmm.
that was met with giggles because so
Mm-hmm.
um, the school board president then rebutted with, "I wasn't aware that it was bring your father to work day," which I cracked up. Some people definitely thought that that comment was inappropriate, but I thought it was absolutely appropriate given the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
His father came up there as a means of came up there and has continuously come up there as a means of intimidation to the board, which is completely unacceptable. Not
Mm.
only does he try to intimidate the board by the things that he's saying, he also interrupts people because you're given 5 minutes to speak. He'll interrupt people's speaking time. They're not giving their time back. Nobody will wrangle him and check him and keep him in line. It was a complete mess.
Mm-hmm.
And he like I don't know what's going on, but nobody should be able to do that in those meetings.
No, so as a first timer coming, now you said you've watched them, and I know it's been hard to hear. So
Yes.
anybody who's been watching them, it is hard to hear, and it's nothing like being there because I've been there before COVID,
Mhm.
during COVID, and then watching them on online or whatever. It's not the same as in being there. I just urge everybody who has a child in the school district or is a taxpayer to wake up and speak up and step up because your voice really does matter. Your voice really does matter if you're speaking about issues that are concerning to you, and they should be concerning to you, especially if you pay taxes, and especially if you have children up there in the school. A few of our viewers had asked, what was our thoughts and how we felt about that school board meeting. And
Yeah.
I feel like I said it was a shit show.
It was.
Um, you know, to to be sitting up there and to hear all of this rhetoric going back and forth, and very minimum is being said about what is going on actually inside these schools. Because in that same meeting, we got the agenda, and there was like 21 administrators and faculty leaving. They wasn't arguing about that. Nobody's, they read that down the line, and it was just like it was said and over. For me, that's crazy. That's a lot of staff and faculty to be
Hmm.
resigning or going into early retirement or just retiring
Yeah.
at the end of the school year. That's alarming. It doesn't matter if the teacher has been there for 30 years and she needs to resign, or if the teacher has been there for however many years you needed to be in the program to be able to retire early with some type of package or benefit. Like it
Hmm.
doesn't matter. It's a faculty member, it's a staff member, and we are losing 21 of them at the end of the year.
Mm.
Yes, that is certainly alarming because I would like to know, is there a central cause as to why these faculty members are leaving? Why are they leaving? Why? Because it seems like it's almost like a mass exodus.
Hmm.
Like,
And
why are
why?
they
Why
why are
would
they
it?
leaving?
Why? Like, you know what I'm saying? One would think, and this is just me thinking because I'm in the workforce. If you have a boss who is really not a good boss all around, nobody wants to be there. That's just my personal opinion. So if the boss is not holding up his end of the bargain, far as you being the employer, you're going to go look somewhere else to work, or you're going to just
Hmm.
walk away from it. That's just, that. I mean, is that fair for me to say that's something that you would do if you had a shitty boss? That's something that you would do if you had a shitty boss. You're going to look for somewhere else to work, or you're just going to
Absolutely.
walk away. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's my thought process of it. Given that I'm a taxpayer and I have children in this school district. Like, that's alarming because are they going to replace all of those faculty members? Who's going to replace those faculty members? How fast are they going to get them in? Because they already up there talking about 4 jobs that they was talking about eliminating, and it's just a lot that I think that taxpayers and people who have children in this school district should be really, really aware of what's going on up there.
And just to piggyback off of what you're saying, um, one thing that I found interesting is that the superintendent in the beginning, when he was reading the letter from his lawyer after he was done, he made some commentary about um, interviewing for other jobs as superintendent in other school districts, being having other job offers, but he decided to sign on another contract with McKeesport. I don't, given the information that we were given at this school board meeting, it doesn't seem like people were like chomping at the bit to get him another contract. So
Right.
I just the I think the implication was that what it seemed like to me is
Mm-hmm.
that people wanted him to continue to be the superintendent. People largely wanted him to be continue to be the superintendent, where
Mm-hmm.
the things that are happening don't really um
Match up.
reinforce it, right, because you have 21 faculty leaving, you have
A bus
um
issue,
you have
which
a
they'll
bus
say it's not a
issue,
issue, but there's a bus issue.
and you have a 49% student uh uh 49% of school 49% of students have a truancy issue in the school.
49%.
uh
Sheesh.
for
49%.
crazy.
That's
And if
crazy.
there's different numbers, get them to us, because there was a gentleman up there that keep asking for numbers or whatever. But yeah, so
Well, that 49 percentage is straight from the superintendent's mouth
yeah,
at that
yeah,
meeting.
yeah, yes.
So
Right, you're right, you're right. That's
that
huge.
was appalling to me. And then there was a gentleman who gave a handout,
Yeah,
and
right, right,
it
right.
turns out,
Okay.
based on the information that was on that handout, a lot of those students are Black.
Mhm.
Um, but again, this person who gave the handout, what they were saying was also interrupted. This person was interrupted by the superintendent's father. Like, it was a
Yeah.
mess. It was a mess.
Yeah.
Um, then you have um, one thing that stood out to me only because I took interest in this position at a prior date years ago. Um, the um, community liaison. The community liaison's job is to recruit children, because in McKeesport we have a couple of different charter schools which give kids the option to go to those schools if they don't want to go to the McKeesport School District
Hmm.
schools. Um, the community liaison's job is to reach out to those children and families and to recruit them to bring them back into the school district. Now, as a parent of a student who goes to one of those charter schools, based on what I've seen at that meeting, I do not feel compelled to bring my child back to the district. Um, Also, what I could say is um, that job for community liaison. It's funny because when I heard of the requisition being posted for that job a few years back, I had someone I know call to inquire, and they were immediately told that the position was filled. So I'm like, well, how is the position filled? And the requisition hasn't even closed yet. So that
So it's
means
like
that
some
you haven't
blind
even taken the
forest
time
stuff.
to interview all potentially qualified candidates. So
Mhm.
clearly, this is something that y'all are used to doing up there.
Mhm.
Um,
Hmm.
A mess.
a mess.
A mess.
So I mean,
And clearly it's not working, because nobody is beating down their doors to bring their kids into, like, people is getting out.
yeah. So
Sorry.
It sounds like a mess.
it
Um,
was.
we're talking about it because a few people asked what our thoughts were about it. I really wanted people to hear Jessica's thoughts on it because that was her first time going up there. Me, I'm no stranger to up there. I'm not happy with them. I don't get a lot of answers, when I go and I speak, up there. I'm hoping that, because I know they heard me. I hope that there is some changes. I am happy that they did get outside counsel to look in the policy or the procedure that was taking place with the hiring and the resigning and the rehiring of the current superintendent. Um, and I hope that they get that resolved sooner than later. And I hope that we get the answers that we truly need.
Absolutely. And also shout out to the current wrestling coach for speaking up about vocational programs because those are important too. They were talking about how a lot of programs are leaving the school. Um, and he
That
wants those should be brought back. There's a need for plumbers, electricians, um,
well, excuse me.
welders.
Well, excuse me. Welders.
Um, uh, he was talking about the program where they work on cars. And I remember back in the day when we went to the high school, they used to build like a house every year.
every single
Um,
year.
I don't know what happened to that because the fact of the matter is college is not for everybody.
Mhm.
Trades are definitely important and they pay well.
When did
Mhm.
they stop that?
He said something, the superintendent said something about a lot of stuff, funds and something being cut. And I just know from having children in the school district, I know one year they were there and the next year they weren't. And I don't know. Fundings was cut. I know one of the teachers that's leaving at the end of this year. He teaches for one of those VOTEC programs. So I don't know. Um, but he made a very, very strong point. Very, very strong point.
So, and that's another thing too. I think that was brought up was um, how the school is not very helpful with um, helping kids get into college or what as far as the graduates, like seeing that they have all of the resources that they need to go, or how
To
many,
the
what
next
percentage.
level.
Yes,
To the next level, whether it
yes.
be college or they don't even take the college route. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to the next level. Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
So I mean there's definitely a room for a lot of improvement, some of which are small changes that could have been made really.
Mhm.
So that
um
Mhm.
doesn't really fall on the counselors um, on their lap.
It does fall on the guidance counselors, but if the guidance counselors aren't doing their jobs, then who's responsible to make sure that the guidance counselors are doing their jobs?
right.
Yeah.
Nobody's
Because they
looking at
got
the
the
numbers and
yeah
questioning it.
they have to report to somebody. It's a chain reaction. If you got all of these kids that's failing, or I'm sure a lot of them are failing if the truancy number is so high. You know what I'm saying? The truancy number is high. Those kids can't be learning. Like, what are
Hmm.
they learning? Like, you know what I'm saying? And then so if you got those kids and you got people doing their jobs and following these kids and making sure that they're supposed to be where they're at and doing what they're supposed to be doing, and those things are not being done, as the boss, you're going to say something about that, and you're going to make sure that those numbers don't look like that. Like, they look like that now, they're getting worse. Like, so um definitely the guidance counselor, but it's definitely somebody else's problem too.
um One more thing. I know that there was a lady who spoke up and talked about how her son had a learning disability and how she did not um, find out about any resources that were available to him from our school district. She actually found out from somebody from Gateway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's concerning and appalling to me as well, because I also had someone with me who is an employee at another district who said that, oh, they definitely educate all of us on that, like from the gate, like we. So is it that people don't know about these resources that are available to to children who have learning disabilities, or they don't care enough to provide them? What is it?
It's probably ignorance. They probably don't know. I would
um
hope that if they knew that they would provide them.
Those are kids with a learning disability. As a special education teacher, you know what type of kids that you have. It is your duty to make sure that that information is out there because you know about those resources. You should know about those
You should
resources.
know
And
about
if
it
you do
because
not know about those resources, again, it goes up to the next level, the superintendent, the school board, because those resources is out there. If I'm a special education teacher, then I should know everything that I need to help my students, my special students, education students.
Absolutely.
Period.
And you know, it's concerning because it makes me think of how many students fell through the cracks as a result of somebody not knowing the resources that were available to these kids. This mother went the extra mile to try to figure it out for her son, but ultimately, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Our trust is in the school, the administrators,
To be doing the right thing.
to be
Hmm.
doing right by our kids, to be making sure they have everything they need, providing all resources that are available, and to just hear somebody's testimonial that that is not what's being done is like horrifying. Like as a
It
parent,
is. It really is.
yeah,
And just think that that was your first meeting, and that was a couple of people getting up there and speak. That's one out of how many? Like how many have that story? How many parents are sitting out there, pissed about something that they know isn't right, or they went and said something and things still didn't change. You understand what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
And then people don't say anything, you let it go, and then it happens to another kid. So you got this thing where people, if you don't say nothing, you 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 don't say nothing, I feel like it's bad. But then you got the people who do say something and who do speak up about things. Those are the problem people. You
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm saying? Those are the negative people. You know what I'm saying? So, what are the average or the taxpayers or the parents supposed to do? Like, you're supposed to speak up for your child,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
You're not supposed
Like,
to let things happen that aren't supposed to happen.
because guess where that's not happening at? Well, I could say from personal experience, my daughter's school, if she was struggling in a certain area, I had somebody reach out to me and say, "Hey, can you bring her to school a little bit early so we can like tutor her in this area? Because I see she's had struggling, and I would like to help her and make sure she succeeds in math or whatever. Can you bring her at 7 since school starts at 8:30 so I can work with her a little extra before school starts?" Absolutely, I'm bringing her.
Mhm.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think that a lot of things need to be fixing up there, and people need to get up get up there, um, at the open school board, the open agenda, and the regular meetings to speak up about their to speak up about whatever they got going on and they feel that they need to speak up about, because you voted those people in. Those people are working for us. The
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
school district, like, I feel like people naively think that the school, like we're not supposed to say anything. Like the school, they're there for us. They work for us and our children. If everybody was to move out or just start sending their kids somewhere else, they lose.
Mm-hmm.
There is no them without us. But
Mm-hmm.
with them, they can't just do us any type of way, or our children. Like that's just crazy. Like we have to get out that mindset when it comes to voting for people on our school board, for our city, for everything. Like we have to
Mm-hmm.
really get out of that mind frame. Like, oh, I ain't gonna say nothing because ain't nothing gonna change. Yes, it will. Especially like they can't ignore 100 people
Right.
with the same issue.
Right.
Like they just can't. And if they do, you know who you're not voting for next election. It's just that simple. It's
Absolutely
just that
right.
simple.
Mm-hmm.
So and I know that every school district got their struggles and they got their issues. All last week, for the last couple of weeks, all we've been seeing on the news is how there's so much violence in the schools, the fight. There was a little boy who was killed on a school van, a few weeks ago. So I know that the school has their challenges within their self. But I just
Mm-hmm.
also feel like, as a responsible parent, as a parent that shows up and I do my due diligence on my end, making sure my kids show up, making sure my kids aren't disrespectful, they're ready
Mm-hmm.
to learn. If an issue do happen with my kid, I correct that issue. I don't send my kid back with you having the same problem, because I hold up my end of the bargain. So I would like the school district to hold up theirs. That's it.
Absolutely. Um, I
So
guess I don't really have anything else to say, like in regards to that. Although I don't like even I have one more thing to say. Just to
okay.
piggyback off of what you just said with the violence increasing in schools. Number one, we know that this pandemic has taken a toll on each and every one of us.
Yes.
Not only that, McKeesport is a low income community,
Hmm.
and um, people in low income communities like ours tend to suffer from a lot of trauma that um, studies have shown is uh, causes PTSD in children.
Hmm.
So we need to have proper resources and proper counseling available to make sure we set up our kids for success. But it doesn't sound like that's not what's happening right now. So, um, what can we do to fix it?
What can we do to fix it? I
So,
would love to hear everybody's thoughts on it. If anybody's watching, their thoughts on that.